Hi friends, Renee Keys here with Carolina Creative. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here with card making ideas for you. Today I'm going to show you a way to use up some of those odd strips or pieces of designer series paper you may have left over. And I'm simply going to cut 1-inch squares and use them in a design on the card front. So I'm going back to using up some Christmas paper. And I pulled out, I think this was actually from Christmas of 23. It was called Joy of Christmas. And you'll see it's just got poinsettias and greenery and berries. So it's lots of reds and greens and just pretty big design patterns. And I also pulled out Greetings of the Season because I wanted to use this love and joy sentiment and one of the tag type dies that comes with this set. So again, this is all retired product. My theme again is use what you have and just try to use some of this stuff up. So let me flip the camera down and show you what I'm working with. I picked 3 contrasting colors. You see, these are already 1-inch strips, and I've got another piece here that's left over. And I'm simply going to cut some 1-inch squares. So I like this because it's got some green berries, so that'll be good. This has some white. So let's go. This is already 1 by 1. So I've got green strips there. This is now a little piece of trash. That is not worth saving. Parts of a poinsettia, so let's do that as well. I already had one of those. So let's see, which way do I want to cut this? How do I get most of that poinsettia? Not that it matters, you know, it's kind of abstract because it is just parts and pieces. But yeah, when you look at it, you know what it was. It's not worth saving either. So I've got 3 of those, and then I need to cut this into a strip. So you see I had an odd size left here. I'm just cutting that into a 1-inch. And now I'm going to go 1 inch the other direction. There. And I think this was a little over 3 inches long. So I will get 3 squares out of that. Well, I think that's fine. I was debating if I wanted it to include the berries, and it really doesn't matter. Okay, so I've cut my 1-inch squares. And the thing is, if you cut a bunch of these at one time, you can then assembly line, just make a whole bunch of cards at one time. So I'm actually just using a white card base. I now have 2 pieces that I'm going to build on. My squares are going to go on this, and this is 3 by 3. It might be just a smidge less than 3. And then this was, let's see, this is then 3, I think I did 3.5, just under 3.5. Let me just, 13. I'm sorry, I told you wrong. This is 3.5. 3.5, because this would be 3 inches right there. 3.5 by 3.5, and then this is 3 3/4. So I'm going to frame it this way. It will go on the card. I then cut out my tag, like I said, coming straight from this Greetings of the Season. And then out of last year's Golden Greenery, I just pulled a bow. So that's all going to go together. So let me start by playing with my squares here. I'm going to lay it out, and then I'll show you how I like to glue it together when I've got a pattern like this. I think I'm going to put, because this is a little bit different color, I'm going to put this down the middle. It's almost like playing tic-tac-toe. And I'm going to take the pretty red and put one there. So I'm just randomly mixing these up. I put this here and put this there. And now I'm going to fill in with more berries and greenery. These are stuck together. Berries and greenery. And then you can play with which direction you want them to face. I mean, you know, there's lots of ways to play with this. And I'm just trying to keep it random. So I have several extra squares here. I could do another one. Okay, so when I assemble, I like to go around the corners. So if I go across the road this way and decide how much border I'm going to have, and it should be pretty consistent, then when I fill in the middle, it should all be even. So let me start with the upper right, what's going to be the upper right. There we go. So I've decided my border size. It's probably that's about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. That way. And now do this. Well, to you it'll look like an upper corner. To me it's the lower. Well, and that's why I like to use liquid glue. I can slide these around just a little bit if I put it down and then decide, well, that's not quite straight or that's not quite where I want it. Like this. And that needs to go up just a smidge. Tiny, tiny tug. Okay. So now I'm going to go across and I'm just going to center this in between those two that I've already glued down. And now everything is going to automatically start to line up. Huh, stuck to my finger. And I'm going to do this outer corner. So I'm going to go around the outsides and save that centerpiece for last. There. And this. I mean, this gives you any colors that coordinate or not. I mean, if you really want to go random and abstract, you could with something like this. So we're using pieces, leftover pieces of cardstock. I ended up with a little bit bigger gap in the middle here than I was thinking I was going to have. It's fine though. I mean, it really, this isn't rocket science. I was thinking it was going to be a little tighter than that, but it's good. Okay, so these are all attached. I'm now going to glue, I am going to use my Stampin' Seal for this. I'm going to glue this onto red, which is going to make it really pop. And then it's just a matter of, picking some shapes to decorate this as you go forward. I'm going to, since this is all assembled, I'm going to do my stamping now. I need to stamp a sentiment, and I need to stamp the inside. So I pulled out two colors that coordinate with all my colors in the paper, Real Red and Garden Green. So I'm going to do the sentiment from this set as well. May your holiday season be filled with warmth and cheerful celebration. I really love this sentiment. So I'm going to use this and stamp that in. Ooh, it's not as straight as I would have liked. And then I'm going to stamp the Love and Joy on my tag, which is going to be the sentiment on the front of the card. I do have something sticky on my hand. You can see how it keeps picking things up. So I'm going to just kind of center this up and get it as straight as I can. Yes. And then the last thing I wanted to do was just another little touch. Because I'm putting a bow on the front, I'm going to do a little bit on the inside too. That's why I had out my Garden Green. So I've got the big, this came out of Golden Greenery. So I've got this little pine bough right here. This was from last year. And I liked this a lot last year as well because it's so simple. So I'm going to put a bough. I don't know if I had enough ink there. Yeah. And of course I've got a little bit. I'll just put it on my finger and get it out of the way. And now I'm going to ink this again and go for the other side. And go a little more into the card. Okay, get that out of there so I don't get it smudged all over the card back. Okay, so I've done my inside. And I'm ready to start assembling the card front. But now you're seeing how quickly this is coming together. So I'm going to put all my pretty greenery up here. I'm going to put my little pine bough here with a tag, and then I've got a red bow. And that's going to finish off the card. So this part goes together quite quickly. Here we go. Stampin' Seal. And line this up. I was just checking my video to make sure it was still playing, and it is. There we go. That. And I think I'm going to put this flat, and then I may put some dimensionals behind the tag. So I'm just going to put this at an angle. Let me grab my dimensionals like this and put them behind the tag and make this pop off the card front. 3 should do it. And just stagger them. like that. Give it a little pinch and a little pull. No, I dropped them, but that's okay. And I'm going to kind of put that at an angle. And I'm going to add a glue dot. And I think, and this could use, you could sprinkle gems on here. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways you could decorate this. I'm just putting that on the top across the punch for the, you could put a ribbon in there. So now I'm just going to add a little bit of shimmer to some of the design here. The berries, a little shimmer. Yep, that's all I'm doing. But yeah, I could sprinkle red or gems or rhinestones, something like that. So that's a way to use up some strips of paper. I'll show you another one I did with other strips, just to show you 1x1 squares can make a really cute grid pattern. I used 3 different designs in both of these cards, and look how different they came out. I did another Christmas one using some of the same papers, but put it on red and green. And that has a different feel to it too. So gives you some ideas for using up those strips of paper. If you like the projects and the products you've seen here, you can find me at Carolina Creative or hashtag Carolina Creative. I'm also on the Stampin' Up! Network. Renee Keese at Stampin'Up.net. Thanks for joining me today. Stay tuned for the next video. I appreciate you watching.